I encourage everyone to take a moment and breathe and take a tea cheers with Ajiri tea. Ajiri tea recognizes the beauty in shared stories and shared opportunities. Ajiri sources award-winning tea from Kenya, employs women in the region to handcraft the labels, and sends 100% of the profits back to the region to support orphan education. Save 10% on your order of Kenyan teas and coffee with the code BeautifullyHuman at ajiritea.com. AJIRIT.com. Tea mugs up. Hello and welcome to the Beautifully Human podcast. I'm Nick Sheesby. In this podcast, I speak with beautiful humans from all around the world, sharing with you their incredible stories, revealing the power in every human story, to spread love and humanity to a world that is in desperate need of it, to show that we can all connect in beautiful ways, no matter where we come from or what we look like. What you will find out is that we are all beautifully human. Let's all be beautifully human. Hello again. Welcome back to the Beautifully Human podcast. Today I am hanging with Isaac Banks. And man, this story is going to bring a tear to your eye. It's going to make you smile. It's going to make you laugh. It is going to make you think. And Isaac, as you will hear, he just has a beautiful perspective on life and what you can do in life, not what you cannot do. And he focuses on that, and he brings so much beauty to this world. And I thank him, and it's just such a pleasure chatting with him. Such a wonderful, wonderful human. If you enjoy this podcast, follow on Spotify and on Instagram at the Beautifully Human Podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It helps get these stories out to more people, which is truly amazing. And as always, enjoy this conversation. I love to start these off with a big, broad, overarching question and let you control the narrative of where our conversation goes and say, tell me the story of your life, Isaac.
Oh, wow. Yeah, nothing difficult or anything to start.
Very
no easing it.
Easy, pointed question. Not wide open.
Sure. I'll try to sum it up too. Let's see here. So I'm one of 7 kids. I'm actually one of 3 disabled kids. So me and my 2 older brothers, we all have muscular dystrophy. We grew up in a small town in Johnson City, Illinois, the middle of nowhere, cornfields everywhere. And, just a good, fun family. I'm actually really excited about how close my family is. Like, we're all best friends even still. So I don't really understand the whole, sibling not getting along thing. Like, we all love each other, and it's great, and I love that. So growing up, I could walk until I was about 8, and then I could walk after 8, but I could walk normally until I was 8, and then from 8 to about 11 or 12, my disability started to progress. So by 1995, I was born in 84, so 95, so I was 11. It was December of 95 is when I actually went into the wheelchair full time, and for me, it was pretty easy because I already had my 2 older brothers to kind of watch and look at and see how they responded and reacted. And it was also a little bit of my mind just kind of went blank and my eyes glassed over. It was like life wasn't real. It was, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I was living life, and it was just like it wasn't my reality, and then it was my reality. Like all at once. And it was odd. And I think that had a lot to do with later on in life of realizing that I had, I had bouts of depression that I never knew that I actually had, is because I was just kind of just in the moment, zoned out, and that started at a young age. And I remember 2 quick stories. my brother, my oldest brother, was having just a rough time, and I was still walking at the time, and my dad was sitting in a recliner and in the living room, and my brother was kind of upset. And I remember getting up from the table. I was coloring, and my brother was having a problem because he wanted to do something, but he physically couldn't, and it was affecting him, his psyche. And I was like, man, I don't want to deal with that. So I got up and I went over to my dad, and I just kind of put my arm on him, and I started crying. I was like, Dad, I don't want to be in a wheelchair. And it's like the worst thing that I could have said. It was like, because he had no idea how to handle that. I was like I said, I was 8. Right. But that was the first time that I remember that. And then once I got in the wheelchair, I was kind of a little bit of a punk. I was nice to other people, but like my inner circle, I kind of turned, I just got a little angry for a little bit. And my brother, the same brother, he was like, dude, I was kind of, being a jerk and yelling at people. And he's like, man, you're not going to have any friends. Shut up. Deal with it. It's like, there's nothing you can do about it. You're either going to get over this or you're not. And nobody wants to be around you with that attitude. And that was just the spark that was lit underneath me. And from that moment on, I was like, he's right. I mean, like, I can't exist as a person without other people. And from that moment on, it was, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, please, my good friends tell me all the time, they're like, dude, you don't have to say please and thank you every single time. But I remind them, this is me. Like, this is my reality. I don't get the option of just picking and choosing, because if I don't say please and thank you, I'll get back in the habit of not saying it. And then when there's someone else, I don't want to ever not show gratitude. So it's just easier for me because I am thankful, because I can't, like I said, I can't exist without it.
Yeah.
So as here, fast forward a little bit through high school. I had a very active high school years. I joined band. I was in the marching band, which is really funny and ironic. We did band competitions. So my younger brother would push me around, on the field. That's awesome. To do all the motions. I was in concert band as well. I played the drum set, which was really fun.
Yeah.
It was really cool. My goodness. I was prom king, which is cool. Real big shock.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was, and I don't know. It was just kind of one of those movie moments, it's like at the end, it's like you expect it to be this one guy, and then they're like, Isaac Banks. And I'm like, what in the world? And just like the place went crazy. I mean, like everybody went crazy. And I don't know, it was surreal, I guess, and it was a neat thing. And then I graduated, and during high school, I taught one of my other older brother, Josh. I taught him how to play the drums because I was in concert band, and he's disabled as well. So he could only do the basic kit. So he had bass drum, snare, hi-hat, and one crash cymbal. And I taught myself how to play guitar. So over that summer, we just jammed out to anything and everything we could. Lots of Green Day and Metallica, easy, fun, fast stuff.
Yep.
Which was cool. And then we started just joining bands and playing, and around here for the local scene. I was like, I want to hang. It's like I can't let this thing stop me. My limitations. So I just poured everything I could into music and playing and learning and kind of developing my craft. So I just kind of spent that summer learning and playing, and like I said, playing anything and everything. And I saw other people playing really good. And I was like, man, I want to play that good. But my arms physically couldn't move that well. They couldn't move that fast. So I was like, oh, well, do it anyway. So I just played and practiced until I could hang. And then I did that for a couple of years. and just kind of the whole time living at home with my parents, not really worrying about life or anything. And then I don't know, I dated off and on, here and there. And then in 2010, I met a girl, and then got married the next year, and then went off to college, and then moved back home. College was a little, it started to get a little bit expensive for the, just the financial aid assistance. So we moved back home and went to a community college, and things were just kind of like, okay, whatever. And then the big thing happened, man, like she got pregnant, and was like, what? Because I was told like my whole life that I couldn't have kids. And whenever that happened, I was like, what is happening? And then there was another one, and then another one, so I got 3 of these things. It's like, this is amazing. This is awesome. And that's really where I really don't consider, like, I don't really pay much attention to my life before my kids, because it was very self-centered, and it was neat, and it was fun, and I enjoy it, and I would never change anything about it. But like, my life truly started living, whenever I had my kids, and that's why I'm the disabled dad. Like, that's what I want to do. Everything I do is for them, and to be able to, to just focus on them and kind of be that example in life. But yeah, that's kind of a very quick sum up of some of the highlights, of where I came from.
Man, I love that. I love that. The whole story especially about music. What a cool, I work in music. So I know just how connecting and how beautiful music can be to unite people. And I think that's so cool that you taught your brother how to play, and that you were playing, and you were just like, I'm just going to learn it. I'm going to go for it, and played in a marching band. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was intense. It's like, you don't realize the lives that you touch while you're going through.
Sure.
And then, you turn around and look, and like, I remember, like high school reunions and stuff, like the Big Ten, and which my Big 20's coming up, which is crazy. But, when they're like,
yeah,
I watched you all the time, it's like, you inspired me to do this, or people will be like, anytime that I'm sitting and I'm like, man, I can't do that. It's like, you were in freaking marching band. How can I not at least try?
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't really think about it at that time, like that at that time. I was like, man, I want to, bang on the skins and do it. But just me being me was an opportunity to inspire someone else, and that's, I've always wanted to, I've always wanted to do inspirational speaking, like from a young age, just from my perspective, just from people asking me, well, what's it like?
Yeah.
And in school, I was not only, in band, but I was president of the acting team, and I was I was captain of the speech team. So I did a lot with being out in public, in front of people, because I've always loved that. Plus the band thing, I was a lead guitar player, so we want the spotlight. It's just kind of how it is. And while I was there, I was like, man, use this opportunity in front of people and that's where that shift started happening. It's like, I can either be selfish with it, or I can start to try to inspire people with it. And I definitely want to go on the inspirational side, because, when I'm gone, it's like, your memories are all that's going to remain.
Right.
I want to leave something more than just, oh yeah, Isaac was cool.
Totally.
That's nice,
Sure.
But I would much rather have something like,
yeah,
I would much rather have someone be like, that guy changed me. Like, he was just being himself, and it's a weird mindset to have, because like, I know that just me being disabled is going to naturally inspire other people. Like, you're just kind of thrown into that, you're just thrown into it. Just like musicians or athletes or actors, like, they're already going to be, an icon for people. And whether you want it or not. And I realize that I do the same thing, but I want to make sure that I'm having a positive impact on people, and it's honestly though, dude, it's life. I was like, there's no need to, be anything but a good person. That's why I love, the idea of your, of what you're doing. It's like, it is beautiful. Humanity is beautiful if you allow it and let it, and I just think that's the coolest thing ever. So thank you again for letting me be a part of this.
Oh man, of course. And I think it's so, what you said is like just key to what I is my message to people is when you were saying, I didn't know that I was inspiring people. I didn't know, I was just being myself, and that was naturally inspiring people. Like, when you don't know, and I don't think a lot of people do, it's amazing when you find out that you're that inspiring to somebody, and how self-empowering and the self-love that comes in from that when you're there and you're living your life, and then people are getting inspired just by seeing you, and they're like, man, I'm just sitting here. Why am I not in the marching band? Why am I not in a band? Isaac's doing it, so let's do it.
Right.
And that's so cool, like when you get to see your power come out, even though you didn't know it was even doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny because like on top of all those things, my brother Josh, so my dad is older, because we're, not as young as we used to be. Yeah. But my dad was outside mowing, and my brother's like, man, he's too old to be out there in the heat. So my uncle up the road, he's a master fabricator. So he was like, help build me a lawnmower that I can pull behind my wheelchair so I can mow for my dad. So we went up there and we built a lawnmower that we could mow for my dad, and it's like, there's no excuses really. And I understand that everybody is different. Everybody has limitations, whether you're able-bodied or not. There's some sort of limitation somewhere. But,
yeah,
whenever you get that servant mentality, which I think that's when, that's what I believe like true enlightenment is once you realize that you are a part of something bigger, and when you can start to serve others, that's when you can actually come into your own. And that was the moment for me of like, I can use what I was given as a way to show others that this life is still beautiful, even though I'm disabled. That sucks, but that's a side thing.
Right.
That's no big deal. The cool thing is let's go hang out, like let's go fishing, let's go swimming, let's go do something fun.
Yeah.
Like I can sit here and I can name 1,001 things I can't do, or I can sit here and I can talk about the things I can do.
Right.
And I remember one time I told that I was asked to do a speech for a student council group, and when I said that, like I just kind of said it in the moment, but it's like when you look back at it, you're like, whoa, that's where I want to be, because I can't scratch my own head, I can't make my own food, I can't dress myself, and you can get yourself in a dark place really quickly with thinking about those things, or you can say, okay, whatever, and move on.
Right.
And like, what are the things I can do? Well, jam out on guitar.
Yeah.
You know, I can drive. You know, I have my own van, so I
Yeah.
can just get in and go anytime I want to. You know, it's like those are the things. That's what makes life
Right.
awesome. You know, and I'm sure you can't run as fast as Usain Bolt.
No,
You know, like so
definitely
it's like
not.
why are you comparing, right? So, you know, everybody has the I can't. Well, yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of I can'ts in life, but let's
Totally.
focus on those I cans. And more importantly, what can I do to help inspire you for your can? You know, and it's not always disabled related, you know, and that's what's really cool, you know, is this mentality transcends my disability. You know, it's like I said, it's an enlightenment of the beautiful part of humanity, and I think that's, and I totally inherited that from my brothers, you know, and even my parents, you know, of that togetherness and the oneness, which goes back to my family being super close, and I just think that's super cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. And what a just a powerful message, just on a, like you said, just on a life lesson level of, there are so many things that every single one of us can't do. And why would we ever want to focus on that? I think that happens so often, and I'm
Right.
just like, sure, yeah, I can't outrun Usain Bolt, like you said. I can't. There's a lot of things that I can't do, even with my able body. And why would I focus on that? Let's talk about what we can do, and let's do that, and move forward with that, and inspire other people with what we can do, and also just seeing people for the humanity and loving them and accepting them and just being like, yeah, let's move forward. Let's be beautiful humans
Right.
to each other, and let's just hang out, play some guitar, do the things we can do, and spread beautiful ripples into the world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that, you know, that's my parents, growing up are, you know, like the around here, the Banks household, like everybody knows that, like, you come to the Banks household when you need something, you know, and like we were not in the least bit well
Mm.
off, you know, financially growing up. You know, my dad struggled a lot, and that built a lot of character in us. And what was neat though is that, you know, I never once saw my parents turn anybody away. You know, I would wake up one morning and come downstairs, and there would be like the living room would be full of people, and it's like, who are they? And mom's like, well, they're having a hard time. They're going to stay with us for a couple of days.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, okay. You know, it's like I had no idea who they were. You know, I'd wake the kids up, we'd go outside and play, and then they would leave, and I'd never see them again. You
Wow.
know, but that was part of the, like, the ministry of my parents' life. You know, it's like they just love people unconditionally, like inspirationally.
Yeah.
It's awesome, you know, and I try so hard to get to that point.
Yeah, and that's so cool with such a big family too, to add I mean, I can only imagine. I had one brother, and we created enough chaos for a household. I can't even imagine with seven
Yeah,
seven little ones running around, and then growing up, and then having families just coming in to add to just the body count in a house. That's so beautiful
right.
to just say, we're going to help them. They're struggling. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, and that's, man, like I said, it all goes back to that servant
Yeah.
heart. You know, it's like my parents showed us what it was like, you know, that people are worth it. And that's part of the message of what I want to share with my YouTube channel, and even eventually through the podcast that I have, is like, you know, I try to make it fun and entertaining, and show I want to show the hardships of being disabled, but also, man, I tackle this at such a different angle of having fun and enjoying life and laughing.
Yeah.
And because there is, and I'm sure you see this all the time, and it's a natural defense. People laugh when they're nervous.
Totally.
You know, it's just what they do. And whenever you're helping someone who's disabled, the best thing you can do is get them laughing. because it completely destroys the that uncomfortable feeling, And so I tell jokes, I tease, and all kinds of stuff just to make them go, wow, this is a crazy situation right now. I can't even believe this is happening. And at the end of it, we're like, well, that was cool.
Yeah.
And then the next time it's not as bad, And I want to do that through with everything that I do, but I also want to point out the fact that, and I feel so strong about this, you're worth it.
Yes.
No matter what it is, you are worth it. It's like I don't know. I just don't have that mentality of, well, I'll do anything for my best friend. It's like, I'll do anything for anyone.
Yeah.
It's like the stranger down the street, you need it. Okay, fine. I was talking to someone about, what happens, if someone breaks in to the house to steal your stuff. It's like, well, no one has to steal my stuff. It's like, if you come in and be like, I need this, it's like, okay, take it.
Right.
It's like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's just a TV. I'm definitely not going to get in a scuffle over it.
Yeah. Right. Right.
But I know it's a weird thing, but like in my mind, that's where my heart is. Like if that person, even if they're trying to steal it for money, it's like, if they think that they need that, what could that do 3 years from now when they're talking to someone and be like, man, I just went into that dude's house and he just gave me his TV. How crazy was that?
Right.
Maybe that could do good eventually. Now that's not probably not a sustainable thing, but
sure.
It's still that willingness, and that mindset of, it is, you're worth it. I'm worth it. We're all worth it. And you can do it.
Yeah.
That can-do attitude. Man, how much could we change the world if we all just took 5 seconds to stop thinking about ourselves and just help someone else? If you can help one person a day for 5 minutes and watch what that watch how that changes your life, man. This world has everything we need in it to fix it. We are the ones that are stopping ourselves.
Right.
And if we can get on top of that, and if I can, in my little bubble, inspire someone else to do that, then we can get some stuff done.
Totally. I'm with you. And I know that, like you said, it's not necessarily sustainable, but it's just one of those little flips of the script in life that we can all participate in, of like, okay, this person comes into your house, there's something that's propelling that. There's something happening in their life that is bringing that on for them. And yeah, it might simply just be that they are down on their luck and they need some money. And so this TV that is yours, that's soon to be theirs, might help them with some money coming in. But then to think about it as like, okay, they need it, and then like you say, here, take it. Think of the mental flip that's going to do in that person's mind. And it doesn't necessarily have to be if someone's coming in to steal from you, because that's definitely a situation where reaction happens quicker than thought process. So it could be just a terrifying thing if someone's coming into your place. But like, if you just think about life of like, okay, someone's doing this because they need something or something that they're feeling a certain way, and then you flip that for them. It's a beautiful thing. And you never know what their reaction is for, or what had happened to them prior to your interaction with them during the day. And it's like, we could all just, like you said, take care of someone for 5 minutes a day and put yourself out of your scenario and just be like, okay, what is happening with them? Yeah, it would be so much nicer of a place.
Yeah, with that idea, I worked for a place down in Memphis. I worked for a staffing company. I was an office manager down there, and it was a Christian staffing company, and the owner, from day one, she was like, every single person who comes through that door gets listened to no matter what, even if we can't give them a job. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really understand at the time what she meant, but we were located in a part of Memphis that was it was a pretty rough part. And she chose there for a reason, on purpose, because that's where they needed the most work done. And as these people came through the door, I understood. It's like they would come in. Some of them were coming in like in their car, and that's where they lived. And the staffing company also had a ministry where they fed homeless right out of the back of the building, and it was just like this crazy. I don't know. It's like, who am I going to meet today? You go into work expecting, just to help someone with a resume. And then you're like, here's this family of 4 living in the back of a 1970 sedan. Sure. And you're like, what's happening? And they've been sleeping in that car for the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
And my boss would be like, all right, Isaac, you're not working today. Your job is to make sure that they have food and take them to get what they need. And you're like, this is awesome. This is so cool. And that idea of everybody gets heard. So if they come in and, maybe they failed the drug test and we can't hire them. But that doesn't mean we still fed them, and we had programs to help get them, off of drugs and into AA programs and things like that, because she understood that it was more than just giving them a job, right? These were humans. These were people living on this same planet that we are. And man, how many times, it was funny because like I am a white dude. Like I'm practically translucent. Like I don't have any color to me at all. But I think the entire time I worked there, I saw 3 other white people. Everybody that came through that door was either black or Hispanic.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm there, even though I'm in this wheelchair, somebody would walk through the door and they give me the look of like, oh great, here it comes. And it was like, man, if you guys only knew, if you only knew where I came from.
Right.
And then we start that conversation, that dialogue. And by the end of it, like they're hugging me and they're like, thank you, Mr. Banks. And I'm like, no, come back. Yeah. It's like, let's do that. And I didn't even get them a job.
Right.
I couldn't get them a job because maybe they, like I said, they failed the drug test or this or that, but they just needed to be listened to.
Yeah.
And that's the ministry I want in my life. It's like I want to hear.
Yeah.
I might not be able to have a quarter on me, or cash or anything because I carry a credit card, but that I'll pick you up and take you to the McDonald's and feed you until you explode like a tick. It's like and that's just what we need to do.
Yeah.
That's where we need to be.
Yeah, and I mean, what a powerful, I love the way she phrased that. And it's such a powerful position to put yourself in. Everybody that walks through that door, we listen to them. Like the power in that is beyond what you can even imagine. Because if you think about it in yourself, when you're just like pissed off or a bad mood or whatever it is, and you're just like trying to talk to somebody and they're not listening, and all you want to do is just have somebody like we all understand that feeling of I just want someone to listen to me. It's why we call our friends and bitch to them about whatever. It's why we have people in our lives to listen to us and talk to. But man, when somebody's just needing, like they came in looking for a job and then they just get listened to and then they're hugging you, and it's really incredible when you listen to what somebody has to say, especially when they're down on their luck. And a lot of people just don't treat people that are down on their luck very kindly. So you could be the only person to listen to them.
Yeah. Something else that is with me and my situation, like my actual physical limitations, because I can't move my arms around. I do a lot of talking with my face as well as my mouth. And I always feel like I look really silly on video when people can't see, like when it's only my face, because like, instead of, you know, everybody talks with their hands, but I can't do that. So I'm overly boisterous when it comes to my facial movements. And it makes sense in the moment, but coming out on screen, you know, it's like, well, why is he moving his face that much? It's like, well, because I can't do that when I talk, and it's just kind of a part of who I am, you know, who I've become because of it. But like connecting, I'm an eye contact person. I love eye contact. And how, this is really crazy. Eye contact with someone, even complete strangers, they will listen to what you have to say when you have eye contact with them whenever they're talking to you. It's like eye contact has just completely gone out, and it's like, what are we doing?
Right.
You know, and I've had, in the last 3 years, I've had 2 women come up to me and share with me their problems and started crying, and they were complete strangers. I had no idea who they were. And my sister and I joke all the time. We're like, we just must have it written on our face, because like we'll be at Walmart or something, and someone will come over and be like, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. And then they'll just like dump truck on you everything that's going on.
Right.
You know, and which we're totally fine with, you know, like we want to be able to do that. But you have to have that aura around you and that willingness. Yeah. And, you know, and that's where I want to be. That's what I want my children, you know, to be in. I don't know. I'm, you know, I want to live the life that they look at and they can say, yes, I want to do that. Yeah. This is not a shameless plug or anything, but I did write a book. One of the chapters is called "Be the Parent You Want Your Children to Be," and I believe that, like, absolutely. I want to live a way that they look at me and they say, man, I want to be just like my dad, because I look at my dad, you know, like I want to be the guy that can just open up my home to a family that I've never met. Yeah. You know, and say, come on in. It's like, yeah, we don't have enough food to even feed our family, but we'll split what little we have with you guys. You know, and it's just like growing up, you're like, I don't really understand that. But now as an adult and seeing how fragile life is, you go, oh, okay, I get it. I understand what's going on. And, you know, I have a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And they are the most beautiful kids I've ever met. And I know parents say that all the time about their own kids, but stepping outside of myself, you know, and separating myself from my kids, like they have such that servant heart in them, and they're all 3 very well aware of my disability and my limitations. And they help me, you know, with everything. It's so beautiful. My little 3-year-old, he'll climb up in my lap and turn around and just sit down. And sometimes he does it and he'll bump into me, and my balance isn't very good at all. So I fall backwards and he'll go, uh-oh, sorry, Daddy. And he'll turn around and face me, grab my head and set me back up. And he knows exactly where to stop. Because if he pulls too much, we're both falling into the floor. And then he'll slowly turn back around and sit on my lap, you know? And it's like, I didn't teach them that. They naturally developed that, you know? And my daughter, she's in the middle, you know, she is a daddy's girl, and I love it. And I got to brag on her real quick. One of the cool stories, when she would climb up in my lap, she would always grab because I drive an electric wheelchair, and I drive it with my right hand. So she'll climb up and sit on my left lap or my left leg and grab my arm and pull it around her and hold it and say, "There, Daddy, now I'm safe." And it's like that idea of, like physically, I wouldn't be able to stop something from happening, from a very real physical sense. But in her eyes and in her mind, I'm her big, strong dad. And as long as my arm is around her, she's safe. And I took her to get her first haircut. And it was just me and her. And she was scared. And she got done. And she was like, before she went, she was like, "Daddy, come stand by me." And I didn't really think about it. And so I went and I sat right next to her. And she got her hair cut, and at the end of it, I was like, "Man, you look beautiful." And she looked at me and she said, "Again, thank you for standing by me, Daddy." And it was just like, wow, it was like she sees me as standing by her. It's like, that is so cool. That is so cool,
man.
And
so cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I cry all the time just talking about how awesome these kids are. And it's not that just because they're my kids, and it's not just my kids, children in general, they're awesome. You have to teach them how to be jerkholes.
Yes.
I mean, you really do. Like it takes effort to turn a child into a bad kid. Or sometimes no effort at all, if you don't put anything in there.
Right.
But I have these 3 kids that they just see me, they just see me. And everybody just wants to be seen, and every room I go into, every restaurant, every store, I am the center of attention all the time, and not by choice. It's because I drive around a giant, well, it probably doesn't help that I have a bright yellow wheelchair. It's like, hey, look at me. But that's just the way it is. I was out to eat the other day with my good friend, and like, people stare at me while I eat because it looks funny when I eat. It does. It's quite the spectacle. And I'm not upset at that at all, because I find myself looking at other disabled people. And because there's a curiosity there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, for me, it's how do you do that differently?
Yeah.
Like, I know how I do it, but how do you do it? And to them, I know that to the able-bodied people, they got to be like, wow, how does he do that? What is he doing? So I don't find offense by it by any means, but I realize that it's a very real thing. And I'm blessed with these kids that they don't see that. They don't care. They come on, Dad, let's go. And my oldest son, he'll be like, when the neighbor kids, when we first moved, he was like, "Hey, this is my dad. He's in a wheelchair. Let's go do this." And it was just like this in passing thing of, oh yeah, okay, whatever. It's just cool. Anyways, I can talk about them all day long. So
that's so good. I love that. I just, being seen, being listened to is so important to everybody. And I love, man, I was getting teary eyed when you were talking about the stories with your daughter. Man, that is just so beautiful.
All the time, man. I mean, like I can't describe. We were on a trip and not too long ago, and we were heading home, and my daughter, she was super tired, and she, she's in this booster seat, and she hollers out, she's like, "Daddy," and I'm like, "Yeah," and she's like, "I'm gonna go to sleep," and I'm like, "Okay," and she's like, "Wake me, don't wake me up whenever you get home," and I'm like, "Okay." And there was someone with us, and she turned to that person and she was like, "Hey, whenever we get home, pick me up, and if I'm asleep, pick me up and put me in Daddy's lap so he can carry me in."
That's amazing.
And I heard that, and it was like, wow. I was like, how did I get blessed to have that? Like, what did I do in life to deserve that? And It is nothing on my own, and I can tell you that. But it was just, these awesome kids that have that mentality, and that's what I want to, it's like I live my life so they can do things like that. And then I see them doing what they're doing, and I'm like, man, now I'm inspired to act like them, so it's this back and forth,
Yes.
And like I see what you're doing, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I want to be a part of that. And hopefully you can see something I'm doing and be like, oh yeah, that's great. I want to do that, and that's what it's all about. If we can get there, like I said, one person at a time, one moment at a time. If you can take one moment with a person, that mentality of every day, one moment can change a person's life. You smile at them, talk to them, ask them what's wrong.
Right.
That's just where it's at.
Yeah. Man, I think that's so beautiful though, of like giving that example, which you definitely do for your kids, and then them giving an example right back. And that's when I say these things and I have these visions in my mind, I think people think I'm oversimplifying it, and I'm like, no, it really can be that beautiful. Like if we all collectively started doing that for and to with each other, it would make it this constant flow of love and kindness and acceptance and inspiration, and that would be beautiful.
Right. Absolutely. That's my goal in life anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we're having this conversation to keep spreading the ripples, because I love putting beauty out into the world. And just a quick dive into my story and where I decided that like a big turning point for me was a few years back, I was at the beginning stages of liver failure, and I didn't know if I was going to make it another night. And it was a big turning point of like, what am I leaving in this life? Like, yeah, I don't want people to just be like, oh, Nick was cool. Nick drank a lot. That was fun. Like, oh, he's the party dude. Like, I wanted to be remembered for something better than that and bigger than that. And so it was like, when I started sharing my story, people started telling me how powerful it was, and I was like, oh damn, like I didn't know how much power I had. And so if I didn't, then I know I'm not the only one in that. So it was like, let's start having these conversations, and I'm not gonna just be drunk and not talk about life and hardships and beautiful things, and have these conversations so people that aren't having these conversations can hear them. And that's kind of where I came from with this. Was I just want to hear people's stories. I know I have a hell of a story. It was really crazy. And so I was like, people have stories. People have power in their stories. So let's all bond on this common place of life and the craziness that is. And let's talk about it.
Right on. Right on.
Speaking of that, your somewhat recent YouTube video that you put up, you told a pretty unbelievable story in it. Do you mind sharing that?
Sure, man. Yeah. So, well, let me preface it with this. I called it "It's Our First Time." I'm nervous too for multiple reasons. One, it's the algorithm. You gotta trick it. But also, like what I talk about in the video is a very real thing that happens all the time. So it was the first time this guy helped apparently anybody that's disabled in a more like personal way. So I was on this band trip, and I wasn't in school at the time. I was helping out, and I was gone all day, and it was the end of the day, and I was, we were all hungry, so we stopped off at a McDonald's, and I ate, super fast. And McDonald's always gives me, all kinds of bubbly stuff down below. And I had one friend there that was, I call it trained in the 2-man tag team. But I can't use the bathroom. I can't get on the toilet without the help of 2 people. One person has to lift me, and the other person has to pull my pants down. And there was no one else around, except for this guy that I had just met a couple hours ago, who just so happened to be one of my other friends' new boyfriend. And we're all like, yeah, so what? He can help out. So we were like, hey, come with us. And he's like, wait, what? So we go to the bathroom, and like his face just starts to be like, what is going on? Like the closer we get, he's like, I don't know about this. So we get into the bathroom and we pull into the stall, and I was like, all right, so here's the deal. He's going to lift. You're going to pull down. I'm going to do my business. You're going to pull it back up. And then back in the wheelchair we go. And, you know, that's pretty much all you got to do. And he was like, well, I don't really know if, and by that point I was in the air, and he was just like, oh man, this is really happening. So, you know, my pants come off and I do my business, and we go back out, and his face, once we get out of that bathroom, he's just like white as a ghost. And like, he has no idea what just happened. And like, he's super quiet, and we're like, oh, he'll be fine. You know, it's no big deal.
Right.
And like 3 days later, my friend was like, what did you guys do to him in there? He broke up with me.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, dang, I'm so sorry about that. You know, and because it's just normal for me. You know, it's like all of our friends are like, oh yeah, we have to help Isaac use the bathroom. And he just apparently was not having it. And one of the things I tried to point out in the video is that some people just can't do that. It's not that they're not nice people. They just don't have that helper mentality. They don't get it. They don't understand it. And again, it's not me speaking bad about him or anybody like that. You know, that's why, you know, not everybody is a firefighter. Not everybody's, you know, in the military. You have to have that, you know, that mentality. And that's also why making it funny helps in situations like that. I could have probably approached that a little bit different. And since then, you know, this was years and years ago, I've learned, you know, kind of how to deal with it a little bit more, and how to kind of feel out people. And if they're like, I don't really know, and be like, well, you know, you don't really have to do anything spectacular. Just, you know, pull them down. You can leave. Help me get them back up.
Right.
You know, and again, I can't survive as a human on this planet without the help of people. You know, it's like you could turn my wheelchair off and I would die. You know, it's like I would be stuck there until someone came and rescued me.
Yeah.
And what's cool, and what one of the cool things that happened is, after I posted the video and some of my good friends watched it, and they started putting comments on it on Facebook, and they were like, you know, I love it, you know, and you know, anytime you let me know, and I'm more than happy to help you. And I realized again, just like how blessed I am.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the cool part. My favorite part of the video is kind of like I guess I kind of get like a little bit serious in it, and but that the middle part where I'm talking about, I want the friends that say, yes, I'm going into that bathroom. Like, it's going to be messy, it's going to be ugly, and it's a not fun thing. But wait, we can make it fun.
Right.
You know, bathroom humor is so silly, and it's so like third grade, but we do it all the time because you have to laugh, because in a very real sense, it sucks to be disabled. It really does. And whenever you are in a position that is taking away like the, I mean, you're stripped of your masculinity. You know, it's like you can't even go to the bathroom by yourself. Like, these guys have to help you. You know, and those thoughts can get inside of your head so easily, and I don't want that. You know, I want to be able to use the bathroom and say, this is just how Isaac does it. You know, I've got some Q&A videos coming out soon, and we kind of, you know, talk a little bit more about that, where, you know, I'm me. You know, I want to be me, and the more I'm open and me, the more my relationship with my friends can blossom.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have friends because I want them to help me. I have friends that help me because they like me, and they like my mentality, and they like the way I treat them, you know, and I try to be a genuinely good person. You know, it's like all the things why you're friends with, you know, people. And I want to be, like I said, I want to be that guy that goes, man, I want to go hang out with Isaac.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but don't you have to like help him do all kinds of stuff? And they're like, so?
Right.
You know, it's just hanging out with Isaac, you know? And I just think that's fun. And man, I have so many stories about people helping me and how awkward it gets. I mean, it's like 2.5 decades worth of being disabled, you know. It's like you see it all, everything happens. And I wish I could, you know, that video would end up being like 5 hours long if I'd told just all the fun stories. But that was that one, you know. It's just like, hey, here's a disabled man's butt right in your face.
Right.
You know, pull his pants down. So
yeah.
But that's and again that's where this is the take. This is the take I want. You know, there are disabled people that are all about, you know, equality, and I love that. You know, it's like, yes, I want to be able to go somewhere with my kids and have a good time and not have to worry about the stairs.
Right.
You know, or worried about, can I get there? But at the same time, I'm also the guy who's like, I'm going to laugh at a handicap joke. You know, it's like, I'm not going to kind of shy away and be like, oh no, that was offensive. It's like, you have to try pretty hard to offend me. Please don't try to offend me, because I can't get offended. But, you know, but I take, you know, and with the Man vs. Wheelchair podcast, it's all about changing, you know, the granite of your mind, you know, that mindset. And you know, we tease and we have fun. And that was the way that my brothers and I dealt with my disability, was let's laugh about it. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
Let's make fun. And I wouldn't do this with other people, but like, we would make fun of each other, you know, in silly ways. They'd be like, hey, Matt, walk over here. You know, it was like, or he would bump into something and be like, oh, you got 4 left tires, you know, instead of 2 left feet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like silly stuff like that, you know, and it just, it's innocent for us because we're not doing it to be mean,
Sure.
but it's those fun things. And man, does it take people off guard. And that's it. Sometimes it's a fine line that I have to walk around people, which is kind of funny in itself to say that.
Right.
But, you know, because I don't want to be offensive to other disabled
Sure.
people, but I want to bring humor into this. We have to start in the disabled community. We have to start understanding that people get nervous, and they're nervous to help. And if we can not making fun of, but if we can get a comfortable environment, a fun environment, that's where the learning is going to happen. And I'm sure you've been in situations to where, you know, maybe you've been in a meeting and it was super uptight and you're like, man, that meeting was the worst. And then you've had a meeting that was fun and you were laughing and carrying on. And you're like, so many great things came out of that. And that's kind of what I want to do, you know, with my life and with all of my projects that I'm doing, is I want to let people know that my disability is real. Yes, I understand that. And it is a hard thing to deal with, but I love to laugh. I'm going to tease. I'm going to have fun. You know, it's like, I want to enjoy life. Yeah. No matter what. I mean, I want to wake up every day and be like, this life is worth living, you know, and I'm going to grab it by the horns and go. And, you know, it might be 3 miles an hour with my crappy wheelchair, but, you know, I'm still going to go, you know?
Yeah, man, I love that. I think it's so beautiful. And I can just feel that energy off you. I just feel that passion and just that love of life just from talking to you.
Oh, I think.
So I appreciate
thanks.
that, man. I do.
Thanks, man. I mean, it's so hard, you know, for me, the hardest parts is with being disabled is what we've talked about earlier, is that understanding that people are going to look at you and you're kind of under the thumb all the time. And I want to make sure that I'm genuine. Like, I genuinely care about people, you know, and I genuinely want my kids to care about people, and I genuinely want people to care about me.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want fake anything. I don't want fake friendships. I don't want fake relationships. I have a friend, and when you talk to her over the phone, you can hear her smile. You know, and it's like, I love that. I love that you can hear someone smile over the phone. And like, I want life to be like that. You know, it's like, I want my life to be one giant, no matter whether you're looking at me or hearing me. You know, I want people to hear my smile, because dang it, this life is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I have troubles and trials, and they are hard. They are very hard. And, you know, I've cried myself to sleep, but man, joy comes in the morning. You know, that's what it says, you know, troubles may come through the night, but, you know, joy comes in the morning. And dude, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's so beautiful. Man, so much power in that. So much power in that. And that's just such a good lesson for everybody to hear.
Yeah.
Man.
Absolutely.
All right. I have a couple questions for you to kind of just, a couple questions for you. I don't know where I was going with that.
Okay.
So I asked this to everybody, and I know this comes with complications. I was speaking to a woman the other night, and she was telling me about traveling with her wheelchair. So I know this comes with complications with this question, but I'm going to ask you still. If I came to you and I said, Isaac, I have a plane ticket to anywhere in the world, where would you go?
If I could go anywhere in the world. Anywhere. Let's see here. I've always wanted to go to Ireland. Just for, if I'm just going for like the visuals of a place, and just to soak in like the culture, I would want to go to Ireland. I think that would just be the coolest thing ever. My family's part Irish also, so that probably has a little bit to do with it.
Get a little heritage in there.
But yeah, I think it'd be Ireland. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is pretty stunning. I've only been to I've been to Dublin once, but I had a really weird day. So I would love a redo of Ireland, of just see the countryside and travel around it. Would be pretty incredible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So I have 2 questions left for you.
Okay.
First one is, and I know we've touched a lot on it, but first one is, what would you want the world to know about you, Isaac?
I would want the world to know that I am not perfect, that my body is broken, and my mind struggles all the time. But I wake up every day saying, I'm going to take that, process it, and find the angle that lets me turn it into a positive. How can I take my struggles and help someone else? Going back to my parents, helping other people, you know, I want people to be able to look at me and say, man, I wish, look at that guy. I wish I could be like him. Even though I'm in a wheelchair, I want people to point at me like, I wish I had Isaac's life. And it's not because, you know, I have money, or because, you know, I can throw a fastball 108 miles an hour. It's because I want to love people unconditionally. I want to provide the best I can for my family, and I want to be a person that my friends want to be around. And I know that I struggle daily, you know, with all kinds of things, but I don't have to let the world suffer for my struggles. You know, and I'm blessed that I have friends that I can share those struggles with, and that's a big help of me being able to be there for other people, is because I have a tight connection with my close friends and family, that I can utilize them, I can talk to them, I can vent, and I can work out those problems. So that way, whenever I'm out, I can be an ear to people. I want to learn to talk less and listen more, and let my life be the example. I don't ever want to be fake in what I'm doing and how I'm loving or how I'm treating people. But I recognize my struggles, both spiritually and emotionally and physically, and I identify them, I acknowledge them, but I want to wake up in the mornings, every morning, and say, okay, here they are. They're laid out before me. What else? What else can I do? Let me go somewhere else. Let me figure it out and to work on it. And I've been, it's like I tease, I say I'm a professional disabled person. I've been professionally disabled for 26 years. And it's just as new dealing with it today as it was, 26 years ago. You don't get used to it. It's a part of me. It's who I am, and I want to get to the point to where, like I want the world to see me like my kids see me. I want them to be able to say, Isaac, put your arm around me, keep me safe. And it might not be a physical safe, but that's who I want to be. I want to be a safety net for people, and to share that with people and let people know that they're not alone, that they are loved, they are worth it, and I believe in you. I believe in you. And if nobody gets anything of this podcast other than that, I believe in you, and I want whoever's hearing this to understand that I love them and I believe in them.
I love that so much. I mean, I can feel that from you. Like I said, I mean, just listening to your stories, and I mean, it's really beautiful. The way that you approach life. It's just, it takes me back to what we were talking about when we began talking. Your brother being like, you can't be that person. And what a cool moment, and how you've pushed that forward into your life to this day. It's really incredible.
And like I said, that was the most life-changing conversation I've ever had. And my goodness, where would I be in life if he hadn't have told me that? If he hadn't have been bold, if he would have been shy, like other people are shy around me,
right?
Because they don't want to hurt my feelings. They don't want to upset me. It's like, it's okay to upset people. You have to break up the status quo, and that's part of what the Man vs. Wheelchair is about. It's about, I don't want every building in America to be handicap accessible. Like, there are beautiful buildings. You don't have to destroy it to make sure that I can get there. All I'm asking is that you have an option for me to get where I want to go and do.
Yeah.
And I know that might sound like the same thing, but it's not. It's like I have friends who are disabled that, I wouldn't say friends, they're more acquaintances, that have that. They want everything to be fine-tuned to them in a wheelchair. And it's like, okay, I fully understand that I am a minority. And I want people to be able to understand that I have a life, I have a desire to go places just like everybody else. And I want the option to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And maybe that option looks like someone picking me up and carrying me,
Yeah.
But I'm not that angle of the disability side. Now I'm fighting for, of course, I want rights just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I want to be involved. I want to be included. It was really cool in the last job I was at doing IT. We had an inclusion. It was diversity and inclusion meeting, and basically they were talking about, like, well, what's the difference between like being invited to a dance and then being asked to dance? those are two totally different things, right? So the inclusion part, it's not just being invited to the dance, it's asking someone to dance. And that blew my mind, because I was like, whoa, that's the difference. Like, those are the differences, you know. And I want to be, you know, I don't know, I want to be a new angle to this thing. I want to be a different, not that those things aren't bad. Like, yes, go out. There are people that are out there fighting for the disabled community, and brother, sister, I'm behind you 100%. I'm just saying, I want to bring this other side, you know, this new perspective of okay, let's have fun also. You know, like, I don't want people walking on eggshells around me. You know, I don't want you to be don't be a jerk, but sure. you know, don't be thinking about what you're going to say before you say it, because that's not real friendship. That's not a true relationship.
Right.
You know, it's fake. And, you know, get out of here with that fakeness. I don't want it. You know, if you're having to constantly worry about offending me with the words that you're saying, then either one, we don't have the relationship we should have, or two, I'm not giving off the aura of being able to be acceptable and to be able to talk to you. And I want to make sure that I do that.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. That's so good. I've not heard it said that way either, and that's especially the difference in the dances. Like, oh man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And again, it's just like a simple flip of a thought that can go such a long way.
Right. And that, for me, that's where it's at. I mean, it's like, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just trying to come up with a new way to look at it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what, I don't know, that's like I said, that's my mission, man. I want to bring that. I want to bring this. I want people to have fun.
Yeah.
I want people to have fun. And I want people to look at me like, man, that Isaac, he's crazy. He'll say anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, at the expense of himself, he'll say that. You know, it's like, well, yeah, because it's funny. You know, they're funny things that happen in life.
Right.
Sometimes pooping on yourself is funny. You know, especially whenever you're being lifted. You know, it's like, there are stories like that I will be telling, you know, eventually. You know, it's like, I generally have pretty good control over my bowels, but sometimes literally crap happens. You know, and in that situation, what do you do? You know, what do you do when you're in that situation? Well, you can either be super embarrassed, which, yes, you're going to be, and it gets awkward, or you just start making jokes and laughing. And you know, I love making people laugh. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I love making people laugh. So.
Yeah, I love that, man. All right, we've kind of touched on it with everything you said, but I'm going to reiterate it just because you have a beautiful way of saying things. So, my last question for you is: if you had the ear of everybody in the world, what would you say to them?
I love you. I believe in you. Tonight is a hard night. And tomorrow will probably be hard as well. But I will be thinking about you, and you're not alone. And I believe in you. It's going to get better. I mean, I've stared demons in the face. I've laid in dark rooms wondering if the next day is going to bring life or not. And I've seen ugly in this world, like true ugliness. But it's all fake. Like, ugliness is fake. It's real to you when it's happening, but it's fake. Life is better than that. That is not life. That is not what we were meant for, and that's not what we're meant to deal with. And
Right.
if I could hug you, I would. You know, if I could hug every person, I would, and just show them it's like, this is what life is. Like all that stuff you're dealing with, all the hatred, all the hate speech, all of the unkind words, all of the depression, all of the anger and animosity towards one another. That's not life. Like we don't have time for that.
Yes.
Like we don't have time for that. We're here for maybe, 75 years. And if you want to spend that self-centered, that time's going to go by so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. But if you can give yourself to others, man, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. If you get a chance to be a servant, do it. And that's what I would tell people. I love you. I believe in you. Do it. Don't wait. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait until New Year's. Don't wait until you get the better job, the new house. Do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Yeah. That's so well put.
Thank you.
Well, dude, this has been so rad. I can't wait till I can actually meet you in person. I feel like I've gained a friend just in this time we've been talking.
Oh, absolutely,
It's
man.
been so
I
cool.
hope we can stay in touch too.
Totally.
Man.
I'm
This is
always
great.
around, brother. And I'm a good listener. I love hanging. So, and we live in the same state. So at some point, we're not that far away from each other.
That's right, man.
So at some point, we'll
right.
just have to meet up and hang out. It'll be great.
Okay. Yeah, man. You tell me. You let me know. I'll be there with bells on.
Awesome. Well, dude, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. I will. I absolutely will. And you let me know if you need anything, man. Like I'm here for not only just this stuff, but just if you ever need to talk or want to chat or just, like I said, we can do a virtual hangout. I'll find somewhere with better internet.
Same. Anytime you need to chat, brother. I'm here for you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, man. I love you, dude.
Love you. And I appreciate
right.
you.
You have
and all the beauty you're putting out in the world.
Thank you very much. Well, help me spread it, man. That's my goal.
Done. I'm with you.
Spread it. Oh, you're already doing it, man. I know. I know. You're inspiring me already.
Thank you. Same. Right back to you, brother. Thank you for listening to the Beautifully Human podcast. To hear more beautiful stories from beautiful humans, follow us on Spotify and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at the Beautifully Human Podcast. Peace signs up.